Welcome back to World Drum Club, everyone. I'm Kalani, and in this video, we're going to be covering fills. What are fills? How do you use them? How do you create tasteful fills? How do you not create too many? And I'm going to be talking about some concepts for you to help you get the fill situation under your belt and under control and out into the world. Welcome back. So we had a patron request. I did a video on tumbaos, which is like different rhythms. But then I was talking about how you can add a fill after, a certain number of bars, maybe 8, 16 bars. And let's talk about what a fill is, first of all. And you guys have all heard fills, but maybe you don't know the term, or you want to just get some ideas. I'm going to bump up my mic a tiny bit. All right, so a fill is generally speaking, a figure or an improvisation, a variation on the rhythm that's usually marking large sections of music. If we're talking about rhythmic music, which we are in this case, it helps define sections of music, and fills help set up new sections, like if we're going to a chorus or we're going to do another verse, for example. And a fill is usually, I'm just speaking from a drummer perspective right now, a fill is usually something that's an improv that's played at the end of a phrase that leads into the next phrase. Let me give you an example. We're going to play a certain number of bars, and I'll do a fill into the next set. So maybe we'll do like 4 bars or something. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That's very short, right? 3, 4. So I'm just playing something that's a little different, 2, just something to mark the end of the phrase, the end of the 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I think you get the idea, right? You know what a fill is when you hear it. Lots of drummer fills, lots of drummer fill jokes. But let's break these down. I want to give you 2 main ways to think about fills, 2 main categories, and this is just what I'm thinking of right now. We've got fills that will lead up and mark what we call the preparatory beat, the beat before the downbeat, and usually we leave a little space there. And I'll give you an example of that. Then we also have fills that lead into the downbeat. Sometimes people even play beyond the downbeat, but just to keep things simple, the other category will be fills that lead into the downbeat. All right, so this is just for you to think about how you might want to phrase your own fills. We've also got, in addition to that, so we've got fills that lead up to, let's say, beat 4, and then fills that lead into beat 1. So those are our 2 main things. We've also got fills that are kind of really in rhythm that might create a sense of tumbling forward, into the beat, or marking the time very clearly. And I'll give you some examples of those. And then we also have fills that kind of have a lifting or pulling back effect that would draw your ear. They're not so much in rhythm, they're sort of more syncopated, right? And I did a couple examples when I just played before I started talking just now of those kind of fills. And usually those sorts of fills might be syncopated or polyrhythmic, like having triplets over a duple meter beat, something like that. So I'm going to give you examples of all that stuff as we move forward. And now would be a good time, you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you've subscribed to World Drum Club, hit the bell for notifications, and of course, if you like this video at the end, give it a thumbs up, it helps. All right, so let's get our basic beat. I'll be talking at you throughout this process. Let's review. We have a beat and we have some fills. 1, 2, 3, and here's our 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm just playing the fill. 2, 3, and that would be a fill that sort of marks the time, right? And I want you to count during this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'm going to end on 4. 3. I might end on 3 too. You can also end your fills on 3. 2, 3. So these are kind of like what we could call marking fills. Started before the last measure. Now I'm going to do fills that go into the downbeat. All right, here we go. 2, 3. 2, 3. So they go all the way. A little bit different. And, we don't have to do anything too extreme, right? Sometimes we play riffs. But fills can be really simple. It's just something to kind of mark the time that's different from the regular tumbao. All right. So now, I think hopefully that's clear. We had fills that, might end on beat 3 or beat 4, and they leave a little space before the downbeat. And those are really, we could call those reset fills too. And I'm just making these words up right now. A fill that you would play that would, reset where the downbeat is. And that's also handy if you're playing with a bunch of people and nobody's really sure where the phrase starts or where the downbeat is, or you have a bunch of dogs barking and you're not sure where the beat is, we could call those like reset fills. And as a drummer, as a percussionist, you can help shape the phrasing of the music by doing a fill and setting up the downbeat, leaving a little space in there. And it's kind of like, recounting like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It marks the time. Now, I also did what we could call those, moving into the downbeat fills, like rolling fills, and those are not as punctuated. They tend to do the same thing musically. They're still marking the downbeat, but they do it in a way that's not leaving a big space. All right, so now let's do, let me play you some examples of some in meter fills, straight, like in this case, we've got a 4 on the floor kind of beat, really standard beat. Let me play you some examples of fills that would be in alignment with the meter. So they're not going to, if anything, they'll just reinforce the feel that's already there. And let's go, just for fun, let's go over to this view. All right, here we go. 2, 3. These really basic. Okay, Now I'm going to switch. We're going to do fills that have a more pulling or uplifting effect. And these will be more syncopated. Feeling that? Just a little more like, whoa. Let's do one more. Okay. All right, so I hope this makes sense for you guys. You know, fills are kind of a personal thing, so let's just wrap up with this idea. So to create different kinds of fills, first of all, it's experimental. It's improvisatory. So that means you decide what you want to do. Now, of course, there's lots of examples of people playing fills, both in a stylistic modality like congas, in a Latin music setting, for example, or pop music. And so what you can do to get some ideas, of course, is what we all do as musicians, which is listen to other people that are playing a similar instrument and maybe similar music to what you want to play. That's how we learn, right? We learn how to speak that way. We learn how to play music that way. We learn how to do most of the things that we do, even socializing, becoming socialized. That's how it works. So we imitate, we listen, we copy, and that's fine. So, and we approximate. And then we develop our own style. Other ways you can approach learning fills is more academic. You could read some fills out of a book. There's plenty of books where people, you know, notate fills and fill ideas. I don't feel like that's really necessary, but if you're somebody that likes to see notation, go for it. Use any tools that you have at your disposal. I think if you just try playing different things, like, okay, now I'm going to divide the beat into 4, right? You know, you can use that rhythmic idea, or I'll divide the beat into 3. You know, as sort of like the fill, you know, fodder, fodder for fills, as the basis for the fill idea. And then, like I said, decide if you want it to be a more of a punctuation fill that has a little space, you know, you know, where you have that little reset, or if you want to do a fill that rolls into the downbeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and you know, where it just has this more forward motion, and that's up to you. And what you need to do is experiment with everything I'm talking about right now. Put on a beat like I have, just put on a metronome or a drum beat. If you can set up a loop that has, you know, a 8 or 4 bar. I mean, I think 4 bars is fine for practice. Don't do fills every 4 bars when you're doing a gig, though. All right. Fills are something that you want to do once in a while. I would save them for certain, you know, what we call turnarounds in music. Like a turnaround is when you're going back into a phrase, like a chorus or a verse or a bridge, or exiting a certain section and going to a different section. So don't overdo it. It can be really annoying when drummers are doing fills like every 4 or 8 bars. It's just for no reason, like they're just a fill. So what I would say to you is try to determine where a fill has a purpose, where it's going to enhance the music, you know, the overall music in some way. And if you're not sure if it's going to enhance the music or not, I would say don't play it. You don't have to play fills. Especially if you're playing with a drummer, they're probably going to be playing fills too. And you don't want to cover up what other people are doing. So listen, you know, just be a good partner if you're in an ensemble, and listen to the music, and don't play on top of anything. Don't play over other things, like a singer that's singing the end of a verse or something, or leading into the next verse. Don't fill everything up with fills. But a few fills per song are great. You know, it could be nice. Just try to play tastefully, which means, like I just said, don't play too much. And make sure, as much as you can, and I know this is just advice, and it would be better with an actual example, but I don't have one right here, but consider the style, you know, the pacing, consider the overall vibe of the music you're playing, and just make a fill that fits, you know. So don't stick rock and roll, you know, fast. Don't play some crazy fill in a ballad. That's what I'm saying. Make sure the style and the aesthetic and the overall kind of note density, if you will, make sure it matches what you're doing, right? So if you're playing on a ballad, like something that's like, right? Maybe the fill, right? It's just a little thing, you know. Put a little thing in there. It's fills are like salt when you're cooking. All right, a little goes a long way, and you don't want to overdo it. Otherwise, it kind of ruins the whole thing. All right, that's what I have for you in this video, y'all. Like I said before, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you so choose. And I want to thank you for dropping by World Drum Club. I'm Kalani. See us at patreon.com/Kalani as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.